Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I am your host, Kendall Aaliyah.
And I'm juliarene.
Hello, juliarene.
Hello, Kendall Aaliyah. Last week when I was interviewing Zach, or we were doing our podcast, he kind of like paused and I was like, say your name. This is where you say your name.
I was listening to it on the way here. It's really good so far. I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
You guys are good, like, talking dynamic. He's really talkative. I don't think I ever realized how talkative he is.
Oh, what? Zach never shuts up. Like, you guys think that I talk a lot. In comparison to Zach, no. It's like 2/3 of our life is Zach talking and me listening, and then 1/3 is like me talking and him listening. Which you would think is
traditionally the opposite. But also when you said during the podcast, you were like, sometimes I like to just sit here and see how long you'll talk for.
Yeah.
My boyfriend has done that to me so many times where he'll be like, what are we hitting today? Like, just simple question. I'm like, well, I'm thinking quads, but also I did quads last week at this time. So I'm thinking maybe I should do hamstring, but we can start on this exercise. And then after like 5 minutes.
And then also my glute hurts. And then also the moon is not right. And I probably shouldn't. And I'm about to start my period. And he's just like.
And then he'll sit there and just start laughing. I'm like, what? And he's like, I just wanted to know what we were hitting.
It's almost like there's certain type of like personality types that when they speak to people, it's almost just every little thought that's in their brain.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you haven't quite thought about what you're going to say yet, and you just answer, and it's like every little thought that came out of your brain. And sometimes that just helps you like figure out what you actually want to do.
Honestly, yeah. I like have to think my way around. That's why like therapy doesn't always work for me, because I end up just like
talking the whole time.
I'll talk until I reach the solution on my own.
Exactly. But that's what like venting helps with doing. It's like, hey, I need to vent to you. And then eventually you're like, oh, I'm being fucking crazy.
Yeah, you like go full circle.
Or like that person's fucking crazy. Also, side note, in a couple of episodes previous, you were talking about how you were liking the elliptical. So the other day, it was like maybe the next day I was like, I'm gonna try the elliptical and see what this shit is about.
How'd you like it?
I like it. My heart rate actually really likes it.
Oh, good.
And it like stays where I want it to be. I was talking about this I did a TikTok live yesterday at the gym, and people were saying like, what intensity do you do like when you do cardio? And I was like, that actually is really true, because I would do like 30 minutes of cardio, but the intensity would be low, but I'd be like, I'm doing the 30 minutes like my coach says, but I wouldn't really be burning that many calories because I didn't know the intensity level I needed to be at.
Yeah.
So the heart rate part of it has really helped me, and we talk about that in the cardio episode from a few weeks ago, but I like it, and it's easy on my legs. And I just like glide.
I feel like it's better for inflammation, especially someone like you that's training like so aggressively so often. I feel like it's good to have like your cardio not be adding to that.
Yes.
Like I feel like it should just like,
because I started this morning on the Stairmaster and was like, let's see like what this is about. And I was even on like level like 8, and my heart rate still wasn't getting there. And I was like, this is weird.
Because I do level like 5 and I'm dead.
I wish my heart rate just went.
Mine, I will say like mine adapts really fast. So if I were consistent, then I'd get to your point. But like since I'm not right now, like I could get away with like a full month of like really low intensity in other people's eyes, but my heart rate gets super high, super fast.
And that thing about like adapting is so true, because like there'll be times where I'm at the gym and I'll just switch from machine to machine. And I always wondered, because I would see people and they go from like machine to machine. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, why are they going to 3 different cardio machines? But like really, if you start on the Stairmaster and you spike your cardio and your heart rate, and then you like level out and get used to it. And then you go to elliptical and it's like, ooh, this is new.
Yeah.
So
I used to do that. My first prep ever, I would always start on the Stairmaster, get my heart rate to that like peak zone. And then I would go into the treadmill and try to just maintain it.
Yeah. I would like hold it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So side note, I was like, I'm Kendall now.
Yeah. I can't picture you on elliptical just because I picture like a really big one and like how far you would have to reach.
Some of them are like, now that I've tried like 3 or 4 different ones at like gyms or like my home gym and stuff. And I'm like, okay, literally my arms don't reach.
Exactly.
And I'm like, so I have to like do this on my own with my arms, like move my arms.
I think I would always just like hold the center and just let my legs do it. But that's really funny. But yeah, that's what I did end of my last prep because my body was just so taxed at that point where it's like, it was my only option. Everything else hurt my back. So
yeah, it surprisingly doesn't hurt my back either.
Anyway,
pretty nice.
Today's episode is not about anything we've talked about.
It's not about cardio.
We are talking about Botox, filler, and plastic surgery. And it's mostly, well, first off, disclaimer, we're not doctors. Never claim to be doctors. We don't know anything we're talking about. This episode is fully coming from a place where I was thinking about the type of content I like to enjoy.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people I follow on like YouTube especially are just women that like make you feel part of their friend group. And like, I really like that. And I feel like that's the environment we try to create, more on a fitness side, obviously, but still like just I love like when the girls I follow on social media talk about like the work they've had done or like how they do their hair or what their skincare routine is. Just anything that makes you feel like you're getting a glimpse into like girl talk.
Exactly.
So that's all this is today. This is just us talking about what we've gotten done because I feel like it's so common these days.
Yeah. And it's so nice to like go. I always find it hard because like I'll go to people's pages and like I want to know like, even if it isn't plastic surgery, like I want to know like what they're doing and like why they're doing it. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't find anywhere the things that you do. Yeah. And that's what's like frustrating, especially like when I was researching, like, what is it like? What is recovery like when you get a breast augmentation? Like, what does it feel like to get your lips done? Like, how much do you get?
Oh, I watched 100 YouTube videos before getting anything because I was terrified. So it's nice having like the assurance of like, oh, well, these people do this regularly. Like that still helps me, even though I get things done. Like one of the podcasts I listened to, they were like, like not convincing, but they had this comedian on. And she was like, I've been thinking about Botox. Like, should I get it done? Like, where do you guys go? And they were like, oh, we go like every Friday. And like, they were joking, but it made you feel like, okay, it isn't this big, scary thing. Yeah. If you want it, just go try it. Go get it done.
It doesn't have to be so big and scary. But also, we're not even promoting you guys doing any of this also. Yeah. We're literally just doing this. It's like the longest disclaimer ever. We're literally just doing this because people ask us and we want to be transparent with like what we get done and like how it felt and maybe bad experiences and things that worked for us, so that if you're ever considering doing any of these things, you have this to look back on and be like, okay, Julia's 5'2" and she got boobs that were this size. This is how they look. I mean, even with like workout gear, like I want to know what size you wear in the shorts that you recommend for me, because then I'm like, okay, that means that I will probably be able to fit into them. You know, you just need to like compare. So this is really what we're trying to do if anyone is interested.
I was saying before this episode even started, like getting things done shouldn't come from a place of I'm getting this done so that I'm confident. Yeah. Like it's not going to change who you are on the inside at all, obviously. So really try to like, I don't know, try to work on any sort of insecurity instead of covering it up. But I feel like these are things you can just like, we've done to just enhance like things we wanted to enhance about ourselves. And also I know that I'm sure there's some people listening to this or clicking on it for the intention of leaving a hate comment of like, people shouldn't get anything done. Like that's so fake. Like that's false advertising. I hate seeing those comments because at the end of the day, like do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. I don't care. Other people shouldn't care. As long as you're confident and happy, like that's all that matters.
Yeah. That's also like definitely the theme of this podcast. It's like, do whatever you want. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to, don't do it. Yeah.
If like this topic bothers you, click off now. Yeah. Like it's that easy.
But I feel like it's also becoming so normal too. Mm-hmm. Especially like now I know that I use some of these things for like mainly Botox for like practical reasons. And I didn't know you can use it for practical reasons.
All
and you
of mine
do too.
Are like practical.
So we'll definitely talk about that. But what do you want to talk about first?
Do you want to talk about... I feel like let's talk about the things we've done before that we won't do again. Kind of as like that. And then we'll go into like what we reoccurringly do.
Yeah. I also forgot that I did threads in my nose. I forgot that I did that.
I was going to add it to like your side of the sheet, but I was like, I don't know what she wants to and doesn't want to talk about because we're very open.
I'll talk about all of it. But mainly kind of like not really like horror stories, but I didn't do that much research the first time that I got my lips done. Mm-hmm. I was mainly just, I just listened to like a friend and she goes, oh, my friend does them in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. And I went to this lady in San Antonio and you know how normally like when you get something done, whether it's like lips or Botox or, even like hairstyle, like sometimes they do the less is better type of thing. This lady did not. It was my first time ever. And she went for like full Bratz lips. And I am like, as you see how my lips are now, like that's how I like my lips to look, like very Bratz-like. But the problem was they were lumpy as hell. So the way, I don't know how you do them in like the way that this happens, but they instantly like looked very Bratzy, and I loved them at first. But then later on, I started noticing, why I got these lumps on my lips that I never knew that I had. Why do I got lumpy lips?
Yeah.
And then I found out because I started going to somebody else that I was recommended to that was better. She was definitely better, but she was in Houston. Her name was, she's really popular in Houston.
She's the one that does...
She does Jazzy's lips. She does Buff Bunnies.
I've never been to her, but I follow her.
So the only thing with that was like she has so many clients that when I would go, I would literally be in the lobby with numbing cream on my face, which is kind of embarrassing. Like everybody there is for the same purpose, but I was like, this is really weird. It was in like kind of impersonal in my opinion. It's just like obviously strictly my opinion, but I was like, I'm sitting in the lobby. My appointment was 30 minutes ago and she had so many people that she was seeing back to back to back that like I would have to allot so much time for that one service.
Especially driving to Houston.
And I would already be driving to Houston because sometimes I would just drive there for that because there was nothing else for me to do.
Yeah.
Because no offense, Houston's a little boring unless you go to the gym. But yeah, so then when I got to hers, I literally drove from Austin and it was the first time me seeing her. And she's like, I am so sorry to tell you this, but we actually need to dissolve your lip filler. So they had to like inject something in to dissolve the past filler because I was lumpy in places.
Yeah.
But she educated me a lot on why we had to do that. Of course, I was really disappointed because when you want something, you want it now. And then she's like, the reason that I have to do this is because whoever did your lip filler in the past, like there's obvious lumps. Like, have you noticed this? And I was like, yeah. Kinda.
But you don't know what's normal and what's not.
Yeah, because I was just so new to it. And I was like, kinda. And she goes, yeah. If you don't want to do this, then I can just do filler right now and be okay, but you'll have those lumps for a very long time.
Yeah.
If not, if you don't want to do lumpy lips, then I'm going to dissolve it and I want you to come back in like this amount of time. And I was like, the long term is probably the better option. So I did that and I came back and ended up loving them.
Yeah.
Long story short.
I know a lot of women that get their lips dissolved like every other year, just kind of as like a fresh slate. Yeah, I have like 2 clients that will do that where they'll go through a phase of like dissolving it, letting them calm down for a little bit, and then they'll do it again. It's almost like they're fresh instead of having lumps.
Interesting.
Because I think it's like kind of inevitable at a certain point. It starts getting like harder in certain places, you know?
Yeah.
You were like, Julia's feeling her lips for those not watching.
It's funny. Because now like it was on this left side right here, like right under it was where there was like a couple lumps and now I don't even like they're gone because the lady that I go to now is like freaking amazing. So this is also kind of hopefully helpful for finding out who is going to work for you. Obviously, like referrals are great. If you see somebody that you like their lips, that's obviously really good. I actually found my lady through my mom because she used to go to my mom's salon and she'd do like Botox parties where the ladies in the salon would like get Botox. My mom's like, they love it when they get theirs done. So maybe you'll like her too.
Yeah.
And when I finally like went to her, she's like very professional. It's like a very clinical looking like area. She has like an allotted time for me. I feel like important. It's very like sanitized. It's not like overly like glamorized, which is interesting. And she's very minimal. Like she will rather do less and then have you do more later than like blow your lips out or like freeze your face with Botox. And she's like genuinely asks you like your lifestyle because she knows for me that I work out a lot and do cardio. So I actually have to get more Botox than like someone who doesn't work out as much as me would because it dissolves so fast with all the cardio I'm doing.
Yeah, you're like metabolizing
I metabolize it a lot faster. So that's kind of my experience like going through each person. And now hindsight 2020, I'm like, I found a person that I love, and I'm going to be really sad if I ever move because I'm like, who's going to do him now? But she's so
I do want to try your
tentative.
lady.
Yeah.
I think I will next time. See, I'm the opposite. I got really lucky and I really loved who I went to the first time. Again, I have no one to compare it to, but I've seen a lot of videos and I just, she's in the fitness space. So I really appreciate that she knows how our bodies change as we lose body fat. So like if I'm in a cutting phase, she will place things like Botox or filler differently because she knows that you metabolize it so fast.
Yeah. She focuses, I feels like a lot on like the aesthetics and like the use that they can have for like enhancements rather than just like flattening brow lines or whatever.
Yeah. And everything I've gotten done, which like we'll go into everything, but I'll start with like my lip filler experience was straight up going to her and same thing where I was like, I don't want a lot. Like I was scared. And she fully was like, we can do a fourth of syringe if you want. And I was like, no, like maybe let's do a half. And she was like, okay, but like we're only going to do a half. I would not let you do a full. And I appreciated that. I like getting advice. Like even now when I'm like, what do you think? And like, I like getting feedback because like, you're not always sure. Like I'm not the professional. I don't know.
Asking what do you think is always so good because, and it's for me now that I know it's a red flag when someone just continues to say yes to me about things that I know nothing about when they're like, yeah, girl, let's do it. And they don't offer any like, but if this might happen, I'm like, red flag, something's going on. You can't just give me whatever I want. Stuff doesn't come that easy.
Yeah. I had such small lips that if I got a full syringe that first time.
Oh, that would have been crazy.
It would have been bad. Yeah. Like I already know because I got a half and that was okay. And the pain wasn't that bad. It was fine. And I like went home and I loved them. I loved them the first week, which I think was proof to me I wanted more because obviously they were still swollen. And even now, every time I get them done, I'm like, I love that first week.
Yes, me too.
And then the swelling dies down and I'm like, okay.
Oh, I don't look like a Bratz doll anymore. Exactly. And that doesn't mean like it disappears. It's like literally you're just swollen from being like pricked with a needle and from the numbing cream, which kind of is like almost like a lip plumper, you know?
I hate numbing cream so much.
Really?
Yeah, there's some like even when I go to the dentist or something, like there's something about not being able to feel what's going on that freaks me out. I appreciate not being in pain because I did have one time where I think they started a little before the numbing was like at its full effect. Hurt like hell.
Like,
so
red flag.
I was like, hey, this hurts like way more than usual, but they always leave it on for like an absurd amount of time. So, but I get it. Anyway, the first time I went, I got a half a syringe. The next time I was like, I'm going to do a full. And even that, like, even though I stretched them a tiny bit by doing a half first, doing that full, I was so bruised and in so much pain for days. Like it was bad because if you think about it, it was like taking like a little tiny French fry and just like pushing it to the max and like plumping it
blowing
up to
it
the
up
max.
Like
Exactly. So after that, I was like, maybe I can never do this again. Like I loved how they looked, but it was that painful. Wow. So then on, now I only ever get half a syringe. So now I know I got my full, I stretched them to where they needed to be. Now just like maintenance, I'll stick with a half. I don't think I'll ever do like a full syringe again.
I'm pretty sure that when I went to my first lady, she did a full syringe right off the bat, off of fresh little baby lips.
And like anyone should do that.
No. I mean, of course I was like, damn, like finally, like someone gave me what I wanted. And then I was like, oh, I regret this because now I have lumpy lips and I have to. The moral of the story of this podcast is like lumpy lips. And then I had to backtrack and end up spending more money because I was too eager to get it when I wanted to get it.
Yeah. Do your research. Like you said, try to find recommendations. Like I fully like put on like an Instagram poll to like my close friends at the time.
It's true.
And was like, where, if any of you get lip filler, where do you go? Like blah, blah, blah. I wasn't even super interested in Botox at the time because Botox scared me even more for some reason. And I got a ton of referrals. And then from there, like I would spend time on Instagram, literally just like searching like stuff with the name of med spa in it and like going through their accounts and like seeing their credibility, seeing the results, seeing like who followed them. Like
reviews I
spent months because I was very scared and I wanted to change that about myself, but it's also scary to, it's not like it's an irreversible thing. We should say like filler, like we're saying, dissolves on its own, and you can also get it dissolved. So it wasn't this like end all be all, but it was so intimidating to me that I thought about it for months. And then the only reason I ended up getting it is because my mom like offered it as like my 21st birthday gift. She was like, I will pay for your first time like getting a half syringe because I know how much you've been thinking and talking about this. And I actually really appreciate that she like pushed me into it because it's something I wanted to do for myself. I just, one, hate spending money on myself and it can get expensive, and two, was like so scared.
Yeah. I think we should probably talk about pricing too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Pricing's different, I think, like depending on where you go, but it's also like pretty typical. I honestly don't even know, which is like sad. I don't know how much I would spend on like a syringe because
just like, take my card. I'm gonna look awesome.
I usually get Botox and filler at the same time. So I don't know like what's what price wise.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Usually it's like a certain amount of like dollars per
it's per
unit. Sorry, the word is unit. Yeah. I think Botox,
typical is like
$11
per unit. Yeah. I think is like the when I used to Google like how much is it gonna be, so I knew if I had to save for it. So yeah, that's like my experience with lip filler. And then Botox, since we're talking about kind of things like we did wrong or didn't like, I was definitely influenced by the girls around me in my life and kept hearing like, oh, like you have cat eyes already. If you got Botox like in your crow's feet, it'll like accentuate that. And
I was like, hate it though?
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Like it'll accentuate like the shape of my eye. My eyes are one of like my favorite features about myself. So I was like excited. And then when I got Botox in my crow's feet, it was not a lot at all because I literally don't have crow's feet. I'm like,
yeah, it's like literally only when your eyes go like this, which I think happens to almost everybody.
Yeah, like, okay, maybe just squint less if you don't want wrinkles there. But I wasn't even doing it for preventative. I was fully just like, oh, it'll change the shape of my eye. That sounds cool. And I got it done and it made my eyes less catty and more round. And I was like, I hate this.
Because then what it does is like it freezes this area instead of, I mean, not telling you to do this, but what would have been better for that would be threads.
Oh, see, threads
because they pull back your eyes, which there's not that much like research on threads. A lot of people get them with like their lips to make the border thicker. A lot of people are getting them right by their eyes so that they like pin their eyes.
Jawline too, a lot.
Jawline. And because I asked my lady about it, like I was like, just because she's educates me, and she's like, honestly, there's a ton of research on lip fillers and Botox because they've been around a lot longer. Threads are really new, and we don't actually know what happens to them inside your body.
Oh, that scares
because you're
me.
literally like putting like a thread. It almost looks kind of like a wire in an area.
That's crazy.
And then it's just like, yeah, like it's inside your body floating around, which is also like breast implants. It's like, yeah, you have silicone just floating in your body. Like it's just as weird. So
do you want to talk about your threading?
Yeah. So I got threads done actually by the lady that Kendall goes to because I wanted to try it. Because I've always been very like insecure about my nose because I know that one side is like uneven,
which no one else can see,
which is lumpy. Well,
but Julia and I have also gone to like nose job consultations together, so I feel like we're both a little insecure about our noses.
Yes, that's something that I've always been insecure about since I was as like young as I can remember. When I was young, I was
Me
like,
too.
when I grow up, I'm getting a nose job. Like I always said that. It was just weird. So I went to Kendall's lady because she did threads and my lady didn't, and it was the most wild experience. Like getting them done because I was getting them done on my nose bridge,
which is such a like
to make
sensitive
it straighter. Area. So first, what she had to do, sorry, this is going to be trigger warning if you get squeamish.
Graphic for the needles.
She had to put a what is the thing that they use at doctors to numb you? Like the dentist's office to Novocaine. Okay. She put that inside my nostril with one of those bigger needles and numbed my nose through there. So like. The next process wasn't that bad because she did that, but sticking a needle in your nose and numbing that was terrible. And then she literally did 2 threads on each side so that my nose bridge would be more straight and even. And then I think she did a tiny one at the tip of my nose to lift it a little bit because I wanted to try this and see like how I liked it. In comparison to like, okay, if I actually went through the journey of getting a nose job, like let's try this first before I go full into that. what happened after that? Oh, she got like little threads on each side, and it was almost like I was a piece of wood, and she was just like,
oh,
she was literally like banging it in
no.
and twisting it into my nose. So, and I'm standing there like looking, and I'm like, what is happening? Did I order like a construction crew on my nose
so
here?
Did it not hurt at that point because you got the numbing?
It was hurting because of the like twisting it in, because you can feel them like going down. And I'm like,
scary.
This is weird. It actually made my nose look bigger, because just like lips, when you first get them done, they're swollen. Because I'm like, my nose had been through a lot at that point. It was traumatizing. And I left and I was like, oh my God, like my nose looks actually bigger. But then when the swelling went down, I was like, oh, I could see that it actually did make it look straighter. Mm-hmm. And my nose was a little bit more turned up. But it still didn't. I wish I didn't do it, basically. I was like, it wasn't worth the money. I could have just contoured my nose.
Yeah.
But I tried it, and it was,
you live and you learn.
It was all right. Like my nose looked bigger for a short period of time, and I was like, oh crap. And then the swelling went down and it looked pretty good. But now, like on the top of my nose, right in between my eyes, there's like, honestly, I think they've fully dissolved by now. But what I used to be able, because they say that the threads dissolve after a certain period of time. And there used to be on this left side of my nose, I could literally feel and wiggle the thread and move it around. But now
that sounds terrifying.
I can't feel them at all. I think
honest.
It's pretty, you would probably never do it.
Never.
It was wild. So that's like my experience with at least like Botox, filler.
Yeah.
Like some of the scary like aspects of it.
Are those the only things you've gotten done that you're like, I'll probably never do that again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything else. Boob job was one of the best decisions ever. But also there's like downsides to that as well. So now I kind of want to talk about at least like what we individually get for each of these things. So let's first talk about lips. So I asked my lady what I got because I literally went, I think it was last week or the week before, and I have it written down here. So I get Restylane Define on my lips. Usually I get a full syringe every time, but since my lips are like, they've grown bigger now to where I don't need to keep it up with one syringe each time because that's excessive.
Yeah.
So my lady was like, you can get away with doing half a syringe and you'll be fine. And I was like, okay. So we did a half a syringe and it plumped them up a little bit and brought them back to feeling like a little bit more vibrant.
Yeah.
And then that was fine. So now we're doing only a half a syringe when I go. I go every 4 months to get Botox for sure, but I don't always get filler every 4 months. And for people that don't work out as much, like as intensely, they're not doing a lot of cardio, like a lot of weightlifting. It's mainly like the cardio aspect of it.
Yeah.
6 months usually is good. So I go more frequently than like the normal person does because of the Botox aspect of it. But I'll decide if I want to get lips at that time, like a little lifty. And then she does 100 units in total for Botox on my body. So the reason this is so much is I get 45 units on my forehead. So I do like the middle. She does them on the top. She doesn't do as much as she used to as far as keeping it stiff, because there were like, when I first went to her, I was like, I don't care if it moves, that's fine. And now she does it in a way to where she does a brow lift with the Botox on each side, where right underneath my brow, she'll do a couple of like, and it's wild how much I notice it when it gets done, because my brows were literally just like, it's almost like
they do look really lifted.
They're like
I've
pulled
never
back a little
analyzed
bit.
that closely on that part of your
I
face.
wonder if that would be a better option, like
For
you said,
sure.
instead of doing that.
I don't think I even like want that. I don't know what I was thinking, but whatever.
Yeah, it literally like lifts this top part up almost like that a little. And it was wild because before I went to my appointment that was a couple weeks ago, I can feel my face like sagging back down, which is not really what's happening.
Saggy foreheads and lumpy lips.
It's just going like it's loose. The Botox is like running out.
Yeah.
And then when I got it done, I was like, oh. And I have, because I scowl a lot, I have like a little line on my right side. And And my mom has the same one. It's really funny, the same one. And when I feel like when I get Botox there, I don't have those creases in my makeup from all the frowning I do. And it's not even frowning. It's scowling at the gym.
Yes.
I want to make a video also being like, people ask me why I get Botox and then do a video compilation of like all my angry faces at the gym where I'm like, ugh,
yeah,
exactly. And it's like, yeah, I really want to do that. But that's what I get for Botox. And then the other...
the fascinating one in my opinion.
Fascinating one that I've recently done, well, I started it like last year, was I swear on my life that I have hyperhidrosis. And I think it runs in my family because my sister sweats a lot. My brother sweats excessively. So do I. I don't really think my mom does. She's pretty much perfect. I don't know if my dad does because I haven't really seen him sweat in a long time. But yeah. I swear my family has hyperhidrosis and
I've never even heard of that word.
Yes,
but
you just excessively sweat. So I actually get 50 units each. 50? No. Because I get 45 on my head. What's 100 minus 45?
Let's not do that.
Yeah, let's not do that. Whatever's left, 55. I do one on the left underarm, one on the right. I just did the opposites.
Yeah.
And getting Botox in there prevents my underarms from sweating. It doesn't prevent it. It reduces it. Guys, the amount of like sweat that I have coming from my body is unreal. I'm even sweating right now on my underboobs, like insanely amount. So
you're a hot body.
If that's something that you struggle with, like especially underarms, it reduces the amount of sweat that you have. So like you don't sweat through any t-shirts, anything like that. And it has literally been a game changer and I love it. This time she switched it because I was doing the brand name Botox. It's just called Botox. And she switched it now to a little bit more intense one because I run through it like nobody's business because of how much I sweat. And she saw me this time and was like, wait, really? I was like, yeah, it was gone like so quickly. And she's like, that doesn't happen normally. And I was like, yeah,
armpit issues.
Special.
No.
And so she tried another one. She's like, I'm going to try this one. And I didn't get the name of that one. She said that a lot of fitness girls use this one who work out a lot. And she's like, let's test it and see if it works better for next time. So
report back if your armpits are less sweaty this month. That's funny. Is that everything you like currently get done?
Yes, I don't do the threads anymore. That was like a one-time thing. I do the little brow lift of Botox just to get my brows a little bit of lift, 45 units on like my whole like eyes and up.
Upper head.
Yeah, I don't do anything lower. I know some people get a little bit of a lip flip with Botox. My lips are just already big. I feel like I don't need to do that. You don't need it. But I think that's
armpits.
And then my armpits. That was the best, one of the best decisions I ever made.
What I currently get, so just to go through, I've only been getting lip filler for like I've only been getting anything for a little over a year. So most of the whole journey was like all of last year. And now it's just kind of like maintenance. And that'll make sense when I talk about why I get Botox. But for lip filler, I also think I typically get Restylane. Sometimes I'll get Juvederm. It honestly, like, I leave it up to her, whatever she sees fit. I think I like Restylane better though. I feel like it leaves like a softer look and feel versus when I've gotten Juvederm, it like almost stays harder longer in my experience.
And what's weird, like, do you even remember what your lips used to feel like before?
Because I would never touch them.
Because now when you touch them, like
mine were non-existent.
The edges, they're not hard. They're just like it's just weird. You know what I mean?
We're just sitting here touching our lips.
Yeah, I'm like, I wonder what it's like to kiss me.
I ask all the time. Especially when this was recently my first time because I took a long time of not getting anything, which I guess I'll talk about in a second. But as soon as I got it, it was my first time like having my boyfriend experiencing me getting filler. I got it when we first met, but like we weren't kissing at that point. And then like now I was like asking him and I was like, does it feel weird? You can tell me if it feels weird. Like I'll get less if it feels weird.
Oh my God. Like, I wonder what it does feel like. Because
I'll
come back
a little different
from getting my lips done and he's like, you got your lips done. Because it's obvious they're really like swollen and stuff. But I never bruise from my lady. Never bruise.
I usually don't bruise. I'll swell, but I don't bruise.
The first time I got it done and it was bad, bruises all over the place. And I'm like, I think
that's also a sign that they're not great at.
I was like, is there something there? Yeah. Is there a sign that like they're not doing it properly if I bruise like everywhere? And I never bruise
most likely
anymore.
Our friend Erica bruises bad, like really bad. Like I called her after I got mine done, and because we were like talking about something else, and then she was like, I haven't left my apartment in 5 days because I'm so bruised and I'm so embarrassed. And I was like, oh no. So
I literally,
some people just bruise easily. I don't think
true.
I typically do, but my lips weirdly don't. But anyway, so last year, the start of it was like in January. So I guess it was like all of last year. I did a half a syringe. Then I tried that full I talked about. And then from then on, I concluded I'm only going to do halves. And I think I only got it like 2 more times. So like 4 times in the whole year. I don't feel like doing the math of how often that was. And then, like I said, end of last year, I think the last one I got done was like in October, and that was the end of my Botox treatment. So in general, I was like, I'm just going to take like a good like 6 months of nothing and then see where I'm at. And my lips definitely got pretty small again. I do have a very fast metabolism. So like, and obviously I'm working out. So my body absorbed most of it at that point. So I did go back and I got another half. And I think from now on, every like 4 to 6 months, I'll be getting another half. And then Botox wise, I think I've talked about it before. I have really bad TMJ, which is essentially I clench my teeth a lot, especially when I'm anxious, especially when I sleep if I'm anxious. And then when I work out, I feel like it's inevitable. Most people do. But mine was so bad. And I think it does have to like tie into my anxiety was so bad that all night I would be like grinding my teeth, like clenching my jaw, something I never thought I had an issue with because a lot of people like learn that when they're pretty young, and I had never known. Like I didn't even know what TMJ was until like 2 years ago. So essentially what it is your temporal muscles, so like your temple area, which goes pretty far back in your head, which I don't think people realize, and then your masseters, which is like your jaw muscles. Both of those are really overactive and really tight from constantly squeezing your jaw. And it was to the point where like I would get such bad migraines like at least once a week.
She would literally be like sitting on the couch like massaging her face.
I still do.
Yeah, it was so sad. She would like get her knuckles and like massage it. I was like, are you okay?
I was hoping to go under the radar most of the time. But no, like constantly like my masseter muscles, which is like that lower part of your jaw, so clenched all the time, so painful to the point where like, you know, and if you like clench your jaw and like a guy does it, like one of those TikTok boys, and it like the muscle pops out. That's how bad mine was, where the muscle was like popping out.
Wasn't your face looked swollen because of that, right?
All the time. It was so bad. And I had so many people in my life.
I wish
most
you had
of them
before and after.
I could probably put it on the video. Yeah, like my face shape is night and day difference. And even now I notice it coming back because it's been like 8 months or so since getting masseter treatment, which I'll talk about that too. But what was I saying? Oh no.
The swollenness of the face before and after.
Yeah. I forget where my train of thought was, but I'll just go back to basically people in my life. I had clients that also had TMJ, and they are kind of the ones that like taught me about it. And these are personal training clients. They're just like ladies, and we just talk during their sessions. They're like little therapy sessions, and all of them were like, go get it done. Like it changed my life. And so many people were saying it to the point where I was finally like, okay, I feel like I need to, because at that point I was paying for like massage therapy for like my neck muscles, like literally
which
once
isn't
a week.
Actually doing it's not actually the problem. The problem is here and here.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I was paying like a good $100 a week, and I was like, at this point, like I could just invest in Botox and then
what do I have to lose?
Exactly. So I went and got it done, and basically, obviously depends on the severity of your TMJ or migraines or whatever the issue at hand is, but that depends like how many sessions you're gonna need and like how many units of Botox. But she basically was like, yours is really bad. So I started with 60 units on both sides of Botox in my
60 on both sides. Wow, that's a lot to be able to manage that. Whoa. Yours was bad.
Mine was really bad to the point where like immediately after that first session, and these were always 12-week apart increments. It was kind of like a plan of like every 12 weeks you're going to come in. Hopefully the plan is to untrain those muscles from constantly tightening. And so every time you come in, you should be getting less and less. But I think the first 2 times I got 60 because it was just that bad. And like immediately the migraines went away. And I was like, this changed my life. I cannot recommend it more to people. If you have chronic migraines, it doesn't hurt looking into. Get one session.
My mom has like chronic migraines, and I'm wondering. Yeah. Because she holds a lot of anxiety a lot, and I'm wondering like if that would help her.
I always would say like, oh, I hold my stress in my traps, but like, no, I held it in my face, and then that was making my neck lock up, which made my traps locked up. It just had so many issues involved in it. So I went every 12 weeks, almost all of last year. I think it was like 5 or 6 like total sessions. And that was basically to totally uncondition the muscle. By my last session, I think I was getting like not even 20 units each side. So like, wildly different, which some people probably start with that, but I'm telling you, my jaw muscles were so bad that this was just like, basically what Botox does is like relaxes the muscle, which is what causes that like freezing look. I will say I didn't get it for aesthetic purposes, but like,
that's what I'm like thinking, is that both of these things can be like, these things that we're talking about, it can be used to like genuinely help you feel better. And I literally have hyperhidrosis. Like my ladies, like, you have hyperhidrosis, and it helps so much. And my life is so much easier, and I can wear things that I'm not able to wear normally. Like since I was little, I wouldn't ever wear anything that had sleeves. That's another big reasons why I never wear anything that has sleeves, because of the amount that I sweat, and I have to like cater my body, my clothing to that. And then for you,
it was my face.
Your face literally is in pain, and it actually helped. Definitely.
Botox changed our lives. Botox was medical. Like that was the reason for its, I guess, use in the beginning. And then people realized, oh, I can use this aesthetically.
Oh, I can freeze my face.
Yeah. So like at the end of the day, like, I don't know, you might even be able to look into like insurance covering that, since it is like a quote unquote medical procedure. Like insurance now is able to cover my TMJ treatment. I don't use insurance because my lady doesn't take it, and I refuse to go anywhere else. But yeah, that was my journey with like my masseters. And like, seriously, I'll put a before and after in the YouTube video. It aesthetically changed my face so much. Like I feel like I look like a different person compared to like 2 years ago.
Instead of having swollen round face, like you've gotten the more chiseled look that you had, it was just swollen.
It was under a layer of tissue.
Of clenching.
Yeah, no. So I look back and I'm like, why didn't I do this like literally 5 years ago?
That's crazy.
And then this last time I went, I told her that my headaches were coming back, and she was asking where the tension was. And this time it was mostly just in the temple. Like I don't have a lot of tension in my jaw right now. And I know we did so much last year that I was like, I feel like I shouldn't add even more right now. Like I obviously don't know how Botox works, but that's what I told her. I was like, most of the tension's like up in my forehead area. So this was my first time ever getting my forehead Botox done, which I don't know if I'll ever do again. It hasn't helped with my headaches a lot. I didn't really get it aesthetically because I don't have a lot of like forehead lines yet. So I feel like one day maybe I'll get it for like wrinkle preventatives. But like I really like, even before, if I raised my eyebrows, like I never had like lines. Thankfully, I
make a lot of faces.
I have like the furrow brow of like the scowl because I have like resting bitch face. And I was like, I remember texting Julia when I was getting it done. I was like, what if my resting bitch face goes away? What if I can't look mean anymore?
I was like, I doubt it. You've got that down.
I'm doing just fine.
I was like, if anything, it'll be worse because you're just blank.
Yeah. I think we only did like 25 units in my forehead. We didn't do a lot. She was like, come back if you need more. But like, I don't love the idea of my face feeling frozen. Like that gives me anxiety, feeling like trapped almost. Yeah. See, like yours moves like I can still kind of move, but like definitely the end of my brow moves a lot.
I was showing Zach it the other day because I was sitting in the car, and I was just sitting there, and he goes, why are you doing that? And I was like, doing what? He goes, you're sitting there. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to tell. He's like, you're sitting there like this.
Just the surprise
like with surprise, with like he's like, your eyebrows are all the way up. And I was like, it's the Botox, babe. And he's like, oh. And I just zoned out. So I had those like big glass eyes. But then with my eyebrows lifted, I said, babe, look, this is literally like, I literally can't frown. But the way that my lady places it is so that it's not completely stiff. I used to get it to where my forehead was completely stiff.
Yeah.
And now I get it because in order for her to do the brow lift, she can't make my forehead completely stiff or my brows won't actually lift. So now she just places it in a different way to where it's mainly like in this middle part, and then we're lifting my eyebrows up. So comparatively, Kendall got 25 units, and then I get 45 on the top whenever I go.
I still have quite the movement.
Yeah, you still got movement. Yeah.
I also love doing like the Rock's like signature like one eyebrow up thing. And I was like, what if I can't do that anymore?
Then my life is over. Can I still do it?
It's like my second No,
Am I not doing it?
only the tail of yours is like going up. But it goes up like a lot. I can't do it right now. But yeah, that's all I get done. I think moving forward, I'm gonna go back to getting the masseter treatment. Like even if it's not for my migraines, which it is, I also loved how that looked when that part of my face was a lot smaller, because I just always have like a little more tension there, I guess. I don't think I'll do forehead again unless like one day I feel like I quote unquote need to. Again, none of these are necessity. And then lips, I will continue getting a half. I think the only other thing I'm like slightly interested in is the lip flip you mentioned.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I need right now, but I like do notice like the edge of my lip. Like I kind of want it up more. I don't know. I've never gotten it, so I don't want to speak on it, but it's something I've been looking into.
Definitely. Cause like, it's so different for each person because each person's lip shape is completely different. Like for me, my bottom lip was way bigger than like my top lip. I still had pretty big lips for just having nothing done. So I had genuinely more space in order to go bigger versus someone who has like small top and bottom. They have less space to go bigger. So that's why my lips had like the ability to be able to have so much.
Yeah.
Same thing weirdly with my boobs. My boobs had the amount, like the space in order to get bigger boobs than someone that had smaller space, which we'll talk about later.
Do you want to talk about your tatas now?
Yeah, we can talk about it now. So I got my boobs done, I think December 20. Was it 2020?
Yes.
I think it was 2020.
I think, yeah, because I met you in 2020 and you hadn't had them yet.
Yeah, I think it was December 2020. And who was the doctor? Oh my God.
We can put like our people's info below.
Yeah, he's
also,
amazing.
For those who are local to Texas.
He does a lot of IFBB pros. He actually was an IFBB pro and he's a doctor.
I didn't know that.
He actually presented an award at the past Olympia this past year. And his name is, I think it's Dr. Martinez. I don't.
We'll put it in the description.
I don't know. We'll put it down below. But he's amazing. He's actually in Houston. But I knew, my boyfriend actually knew of him because my boyfriend Zach was in the bodybuilding industry for a long time. He was around a lot of competitors that had gotten them done and they went to him. So luckily I didn't have to do very much research because I found a really awesome, credible guy who was also in the fitness space and was an IFBB pro and a doctor. And I think his wife is as well. And so I went to my consultation. He was very, very helpful. Again, he wasn't just, oh, let me give you what you want. He went through like the whole process with me, like how it would work, how much it would cost. And we went over sizes. Like we literally tried on silicone sizes.
Cool. I kind of want to do that just for fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. And Zach was there with me because I needed a security blanket. And I honestly asked his opinion too. Like, does this look like it actually fits my body?
Yeah.
So I'm naturally like a C. Surprisingly, I have the smallest boobs of my family. I was like a 36C. My mom is a double D. My sister's a double D. And somehow I got the smallest boobs. But they weren't really small. I was still like a C.
Yeah, I feel like
a high
C-cup
C.
is like slightly above average.
Yeah. But my mom's and my sisters are way bigger. Now I have the biggest of both of them. But so I got it done and he was honest about what would fit my body. And after like examining my breasts, he's like, you can actually fit a lot more silicone than you think because I already had a C cup. So I was able to fit way more. So I ended up getting 535 cc's of silicone implants. I did a more natural version to where they're not like pushed up really high. They look like they're my natural boobs. A lot of people will see me and like, oh, I thought they were yours the whole time because they're not like pushed up in my face.
Yeah.
Which I do think that maybe later in life, I would want to potentially get them smaller when I'm like not really bodybuilding anymore. I would potentially want to get them smaller, maybe when that like 10-year cycle comes up because you have to take them out at 10 years.
Yeah. Which I feel like a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it leads to, I've had like 2 different friends have complications with theirs. So.
Yes. And there's also a lot of people have breast implant illness and I just want to put that out there too, because there's some people that do really struggle. Like once they have like that foreign object in their body,
Okay.
I almost just choked on my own spit. They experience a lot of other problems. I haven't looked too much into it, but the people that I have seen and have had that problem have gotten them out, and I really empathize for those people. And that was genuinely, it was something that I worried about before, and I asked my doctor about, and he gave me a lot of research about if it actually happens, like how many people it actually happens to, people who are a little bit more prone to getting it, all of these things. I haven't had any issues. I haven't had any problem feeling any different.
Almost 3 years now.
Almost 3 years. And the process was pretty wild. So I felt really educated when I left him. I booked my appointment then. I had to put a down payment on, came back to Houston, and they had to make sure that I came in and I had all of my medications afterwards. And I had to show them that I had them so that they knew when I got driven home by my boyfriend that I was going to be okay with like pain medication and stuff. So I literally got dropped off at like 6 a.m. We had an Airbnb for a couple weekends in Houston, or a couple days in Houston, so that I can recover. And he dropped me off, and it was nuts. I like changed, and then I'm in there, and then lights out. And I wake up and I'm like, I have boobs. And I was still like it was just weird. Like you go to sleep, you wake up and you have boobs. It was so weird.
It is a crazy concept. And this is a time in our life where like we knew each other, but like we weren't really like friends. So I remember watching like some of these things on like your Instagram story at the time. I was like, oh, I like remember when Julia got her boobs.
Yeah, it was wild. Like being, I couldn't shower by myself. I was wrapped up. I couldn't even move my hands above here. I could barely move my hands anywhere. I couldn't push to lift myself up, so I needed help out of bed. You don't realize
really
like how much you use your boobs to do everything. I couldn't really feed myself or anything. At a certain point, then I could like move it, but it still hurt. So if anyone is interested in, getting it and you want more information about it, definitely do like research on other people's experience. But on my Instagram, I have a story that's called breast augmentation. And it's my whole story from beginning to end about like the recovery, how I'm feeling, the doctor I chose, where I went, how many cc's I got, how it felt, the stitches. People can see like what my stitches looked like before and when they healed. So I have that whole story mapped out because I was annoyed that I couldn't find anybody's story online of them documenting. So I made it for somebody that was interested. So
how nice of you.
I know, I'm so nice.
Charitable.
I'm so
Is charitable. Your scar under?
Yes, they're two tiny scars, maybe like an inch under, and my boobs are so big you can't even see them. I have to lift my boobs to see them. Typically, people that have darker skin like me will scar a little bit worse. That's what my doctor said, but he gave me a scar treatment, a very, very good scar treatment that was used for that. And it was crazy because my dad had got like something he had like a scar on his back, and then when I was done like using mine, I ended up getting. I was like, "Here, here's my boob scar,
my boob scar cream,
stars cream."
Was like the idea of getting a boob job there before bodybuilding?
No, it was actually never something I never thought about. I only thought about it once I got into bodybuilding because I saw how people's physique looked on stage when they were lean and they had implants. And when you get so lean, I lost all my boobs. Like I'd go from a C36 to being like an A cup where it was literally nothing. Yeah. And then my swimsuit would just lay flat like on my body. I will say like I'm very, very grateful where my boobs come back every year because I know for some women they don't. And once you get that lean, that's kind of no longer an area you hold body fat. Because I do get down to like an A cup, but they do get flat. And then luckily every year it might be like my age or my hormones, but like going into post show, they would always come back. And I would be like, thank you, boob gods. Yeah. But I also like, it's hard not to have the appeal of like, do I need this? Do I need implants? Like if you look at the top like 20 at the Olympia, all of them have boobs. It's hard not to think that you have to have them to be in this industry, but you definitely don't. There's a lot of IFBB pros that don't have them. Yeah. There's also a lot of IFBB pros that didn't have them and they made pro and then they got them. Yeah. So like, for example, Kerrigan Pike didn't have boobs for the longest time and she became an IFBB Bikini Pro without them, and then she got implants like a year later recently, and they look amazing. She didn't need to do it. I didn't need to do it to be competitive in the sport. If my body looks good, it looks good. But I just knew that for me personally, that it would make my physique, it would feminize my physique, if we're gonna say that, because of, I would literally be like flat chested. I would have like striations on my chest, and you already are so lean and like have so much muscle that it added that like feminine quality. It also made me look more hourglassy instead of being kind of boxy looking. This is just how I felt personally about my body. This is not at all how I feel other people look whatsoever. And I was like, it kind of helped. And it was kind of crazy because I knew my mom and dad were going to be like, no, don't do this. And I just explained to them like why I wanted to get them. I was like, I think it could potentially like enhance my physique. Also, I personally just want them. Like, I don't really need to give anybody a reason why.
Yeah, it's your body.
You want to do something. If you want to do it, just go ahead and do it. Obviously, research and like be careful. Just don't harm anybody or yourself.
Yes.
And when I competed the second time, because my parents have seen all my shows, but when I competed the second time and I had boobs, it was really funny because my dad, I came off stage, he goes, I understand why you got them now. And I was like, what? And he goes,
the dad stamp of
he's
approval.
Like, you just look more hourglassy, and it enhanced your shape, and you look even more competitive, and he's like, you were right. And I was like, thanks, Dad. That's a little weird, but thanks. So he finally understood. And I've had no problems, and
boobs are great.
I love them. So yeah, whatever you want to do. Also, if you're just curious, look at that IG story called Breast Augmentation on my Instagram profile, and I walk through everything. You can even see what I looked like without boobs on my on that story, like the before and after.
Yeah, your stage shot difference is crazy. Yeah. Not just because of the boobs, but like also like you can tell, like you said, it does add that like more shape to your upper half because you have so much shape with your bottom half. It almost like balances you out.
Yeah, I kind of went, in my opinion, my body was like more straight, and then I had the legs. Now it's like really hourglassy, which is just personal preference.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever get my boobs done, but I also just love having medium boobs.
Yeah, there's definitely sometimes, like yesterday I was talking with my two friends and I was telling them, I was like, there's sometimes definitely where I wish I could go back to my spalt boobs, only because it's definitely more of a challenge now to find stuff to wear. Yeah. It's already a challenge with my lower body and with how short I am and just my body shape in general. And I feel like every girl struggles with this. You're like, nothing fits my body right, because there's certain brands that fit certain body types correctly. Yeah. And sometimes I definitely wish, I'm like, can I just tape these down for a second? Because I know that there's certain outfits that I'm like, if I wore this, everything would be spilling out, and that's just uncomfortable for me. And then there's some things where I'm like, oh, they look really good and they're enhanced in this. And I'm like, wait, maybe small boobs would look better with this outfit, but I can't do that. You can't just pop them in and out. So I just have to find what looks good for my body without completely having them everywhere.
Yes. I feel like that's all for everything we've had done. Again, just to reiterate, we're not telling you to get anything done. We're also not telling you to not get anything done. These are just like kind of our journey with it, because I always find it fascinating to learn what other people do. Like, I've never gotten my boobs done, so hearing like Julia talk about it, I'm like, whoa, like I didn't know that, or I didn't know like the scar was that size or where it goes or like anything. So yeah, that's kind of all we have.
Yeah. Boobs, Botox, and
filler. Are you trying to think of a B name?
Yeah, I was trying
Boobs, Botox, and bigger lips.
Bigger lips.
We should name that this episode. Anyway.
That would be good. Anyways, thanks guys for listening. And as always, we love you all so much, and you're more powerful than you think.
Bye.
Bye.